Welcome to this week's Ask EMBN show, where we're talking about sizing, solar power, and taking that first intimidating e-bike ride.
The Grim Reaper asks, curious if you could use a solar panel to charge the e-bike battery if you have no other power source options. Is there a solar panel on the market that can recharge the battery while riding? Do you know what? My daughter asked me this a couple of days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
It's quite a complex question, I think. And I think the main answer is probably no. The sort of size of solar panel that you're going to need to charge that battery up from fully depleted to fully charged.
What about if you like paraglides e-bike and you could have that?
Yeah, like the Angel of the North riding along, like with some big solar panels. But yeah, you're going to need about a 2 foot by 4 foot solar panel, probably 2 of those. So you're going to probably need to bring a trailer around if you're thinking about charging your e-bike battery up from fully flat to fully charged.
However, if you want to just charge your e-bike during the lunch hour, which might be a better idea, then there's loads of options available. If you've got a camper van or a car, you can just bolt something on the roof, right?
Yeah. True, yeah, that's an easy way of doing it. But out on the trail, unless you've got a trailer, not a chance.
If you want to know more about off-grid charging, there's a video which I did, which is coming up right now.
Oh no! No, not here. Oh, crikey, out of battery. Oh, it's wild and it's windy. There's no plugs for miles around. I got no spare battery. And do you know what? That extension I got probably is not going to stretch all the way back to my house. So is it time to pack the bike back in the van or find some alternative sources of power? Here's how to do it.
Oh, I love this question. This is from Andrew Kreisinger. Andrew asks, I have a question. I'm 6 foot and I've just turned 14. I don't know if I should get a large or extra large Specialized Kenevo 2019. I think it depends on what type of riding you do, basically. But if you're 6 foot, I know that I'd probably go for XL, but I can just feel Chris Smith is going to say something else.
Yeah, I think obviously at 14 you'd be doing a lot of growing, so maybe that XL could be a good option. Also, although Steve disagrees, I find a smaller bike is more manoeuvrable around in the air, a bit better for playing around, whereas the XL, Steve, come back. Whereas the XL is better for, putting some more miles in, but the Kenevo is obviously a more downhilly sort of enduro, sort of aggressive style bike, so I'm guessing you're probably not going to be putting the miles in. You want a playful bike, so I say the large.
But Andrew, I'm glad to see that you're looking into getting this Kenevo. I'm wondering, is this actually your first e-bike? And maybe another question you should be looking at is, what bike have you currently got? Check out the reach measurement on your current bike, because you could find that a large or an extra large Kenevo is quite different to the bike you've got.
Pendo's been in touch. Hi, I like a plush ride as I have arthritis and too much jarring is painful. He rides a 2017 Levo with a 160mm travel fork. On the rocky downhills I can still hammer it, but my mate on his Kenevo is quicker and looks a lot smoother. Thinking of upgrading to the Kenevo, the plusher the better, or the new Levo 29er. Worth the upgrade, and thoughts on the plushes of the two?
It could be, Pendo, that your mate is actually smoother than you anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, look at it. You're looking at a 135mm travel bike in the Levo, or a 180mm travel bike in the Kenevo. So, on rocky trails, rough tracks, it's bound to be slightly smoother. It depends on the type of riding you're doing. I'd say that if you're doing more trail enduro riding, I'd actually go for the Levo, the new Levo of the Kenevo. There's quite a difference in weight. There's quite a difference in, obviously, wheel size. And I reckon this is more of a test ride answer for you rather than one that we could deliver. It comes down to, and check out the different sizes on each bike.
Definitely. It might be the suspension setup on your bike as well. Your mate might have his suspension a lot more dialed into a style of weight and riding, whereas you might be running the stiffer suspension. That might be the actual problem. So get your suspension checked out.
I reckon he's got his suspension right. I reckon his mate is just smoother. Okay, Pendo, obviously you know the differences between the 135 Levo 2018 and the 180mm Kenevo, and there's a video which I've done about that. However, if you want to know a bit more about the new Levo, there's this video which I did right here.
With a ground up redesign, this bike has lost a big chunk of weight. In fact, this new Levo is one of the lightest e-mountain bikes in the world. It's nimble, it's fun, and guess what? The range on the Levo has increased by 40%. That is massive.
Cycling question. Great answers. I totally love the tech and get the benefits. That's very kind. Cycling questions. I'm wondering, are e-bikes being bought by existing cyclists or folk new to biking? Cheers, David.
I think it's a definite mix. We're seeing people coming from new riders that have never been mountain biking have seen e-bikes as a great way into the sport, but we're also seeing those people who are tired of pushing, bikes uphill and want to just ride their bike, so they're getting on the e-bike bandwagon. But it's like the biggest growth in cycling right now, isn't it?
Looks like a market research question. That
It does, doesn't it?
Right, let's move on to John Corrison. I am 88 kilos with all my riding kit, 2.8 Maxis DHF and DHR, and Vittoria liners running at 12 to 14 psi front rear. Whoa, crikey. I'm very surprised at your much higher pressures. Whoa, John, 12 to 14 at 88 kilos. I don't think I need to go any further with this question.
Yeah.
I have fantastic grip in the winter slop and summer dry. Why do you run at such high pressures? John, seriously,
I think
you need to have more. I think there's been this trend with the bigger tyres to run lower pressures, but ultimately they just fold in the corners. There's no support there. Obviously, you're going to be running your battery down as well with those low pressures. So I reckon you need to go up to at least 20 psi on those 2.8 Maxis tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I run those tyres, I think it's totally how you ride. If you're just sort of pootling around the woods, cross-country style, not cornering aggressively or hitting stuff particularly hard, then you might get away with that tyre pressure. But certainly for me, the way that I ride, I think the first corner that I come to, I'd probably be on the rim. I'd probably pull the tyre straight off the rim if I went below 20.
Because you run about 30 psi, don't you, when you're doing your stuff?
It depends, yeah. For the bigger stuff, we even run sort of 40 psi to stop the tyre coming off the rim, especially if you're doing jumps and tricks and stuff, you're landing sideways, and that tyre would just simply, it would deform under every single takeoff. It would be, you hit a berm aggressively and it would just literally come straight off the rim, even with the inserts. And a rocky downhill section, I would come out of that with square wheels, basically. It just smashed the rim to bits.
You shouldn't be surprised at our high pressures. They're actually quite normal.
Yeah.
I'd say that 12 to 14 is not right at all.
John, you'd be pleased to know that I am obsessed with e-mountain bike tyres, or mountain bike tyres in general. So
There's a video coming up which explains everything you need to know about tyres on e-bikes.
more torque, increased use and heavier weights mean that we need more stability, more durability, puncture protection and of course grip on our e-bike tyres. But how on earth do you choose what type of tyre to get? This is our fundamentals into tyre choice. We're going to cover everything from width, tyre compound, tread pattern, weight and much, much more.
Moving on to Carl Cook. As a semi-experienced road cyclist but eMTB novice, what are the main skill differences that I would have and should concentrate on to progress? Do you want to put my arm there, Chris? I'm my best to just throw myself into the deep end and go and hit the MTB trails, which would probably be Llandegla for me, being in Liverpool. Keep the good work, fellas. Thanks, Carl. Just dive in, right?
Yeah. I think if you're coming for a road bike background, you're probably going to using clipless pedals. I think if you first ride on a mountain bike, especially an e-bike, probably stick a set of flats on. It's going to allow you an escape route if things do get wrong. Just look at the trails you're going to ride as well. All the trail centres are all graded, so sometimes there's colours like blues, reds, or they have a diamond system where you just need to make sure you're on a beginner trail, because if you drop into something that's pretty tech, it's probably going to put you off mountain biking.
I'd say your road experience is going to be far more dangerous than your first off-road experience. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Paul Blackmore, Chris.
Yeah, Paul Blackmore's been in touch. What is the lifespan of a Bosch Performance CX?
Motor
bearings as mine are worn out after just 4,000 miles.
Wow, 4,000 miles.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of miles.
Which bearings are you talking about? Your drive side, non-drive side? We did a feature recently which shows a replacement of the drive side bearing. Quite an inexpensive fix. I think it was £100 fitted. But it depends really. It depends on where you live, how you ride, how much you weigh,
how often you wash your bike, how you wash your bike,
how much you lube your bike.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of different things. I've heard of bearings lasting, that's a good mileage, 4,000 miles. But on the other hand, I've heard of that unit failing on low mileage.
Do you know what was interesting, Chris? When I did the Bosch drive side bearing refit, it was like, there's an analogy with how often would you refit a bottom bracket to a bike, which is once a year maybe?
Yeah, again, it's mileage, looking after maintenance. It's
I think can you imagine a bottom bracket doing 4,000 miles?
There's a lot of pedal revolutions.
I reckon you got some good mileage there, but I think they are possibly guaranteed for a bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're a good unit. You just need to look after them very well, I think, with the Bosch.
Alistair Woods.
Alistair Woods, he's been in touch. How do I get videos and pictures to you guys to be featured on the EMBN show?
Alistair, we need your photographs and videos desperately.
The easiest way to do it is via our upload service, which the details are on the screen now. If you just send them on there, you can upload videos, you can upload photos, you can bike file, everything is there. We get to see it here at the office and we can select those photos and videos ready for the show. So the upload service is the easiest way. Don't go using Facebook, Instagram, things like that, because it's very hard for us to get that footage at a higher level quality to produce back onto the show. Don't forget, if you guys got any questions you want to ask us, drop us some in the comments box below, hashtag #AskEMBN, then your question, and we'll get back to you ASAP on the show. Don't forget to
subscribe to EMBN so we can bring you more videos. In the meantime, I think if you want to stay here on EMBN and you're in race mode, check out the video that Chris did with Grant Ferguson, Olympic cross-country racer, correct?
Yeah, and don't forget to check out the video that Steve did racing Dan Lloyd up the Col de Madone as well on the road bike. Really good video. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed today's show, give us a thumbs up, drop any comments you got in the box below, and we'll see you next week.